Welcome back to Morning Drive on a Tuesday. Damon Hack, Chris DeMarco, the rest of the gang in moments. The big news, of course, Rory McIlroy having to withdraw from Abu Dhabi because of this rib injury. As a fellow player, Chris DeMarco, any concern long-term?
No concerns long-term, but I like his decision short-term. I think that, obviously if you're hurt, you need to take some time off and let it rest.
We're going to be talking about this all hour. Let's say good morning once again to Carl Robinson, who is beside a very special guest.
We all love this man. Yes, Dr. Ara Sapira is with us. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Han.
We're going to get to know everything we need to know about this rib injury, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. He's going to explain exactly how this might have happened, how he treats it, what the best recovery process is, and when we can maybe hope to see Rory again. Let's say good morning to Lauren Thompson.
Hey, Cara. Yes, more on Rory McIlroy as we move into top stories. And yes, his official withdrawal from this week's Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship after results from an MRI yesterday revealed a stress fracture in one of his ribs. The four-time major champion said, quote, "It's bitterly disappointing to have to withdraw from the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. To be forced to miss this week through injury is really quite annoying, to be perfectly honest. In situations like this, you simply have to listen to the experts, and the team I have consulted have all advised me to rest until my rib has fully recovered." Now on to Phil Mickelson, who is hoping to make his first start of 2017 at the Career Builder Challenge later this week. After 2 off-season hernia surgeries, Lefty played his first full round of golf this past Saturday and told our own Tim Rosafort regarding his participation in the event that it will be a last-minute decision, as he won't know until Tuesday evening or Wednesday. Now over to the PGA Tour champions, who get their 2017 season underway this Thursday. It is a field loaded with legends for the Mitsubishi Electric Championship at Hualalai, consisting purely of players who either captured a major on the 50 and over circuit in the last 5 seasons or an official PGA Tour Champions event in the past 2. Looking forward to that. But now back to Damon Hack to continue the talk on the second-ranked player in the world.
Yeah, LT, thank you very much. Nothing worse than when Larry Bird can't play or Magic or Tom Brady. We want the best players in the world to tee it up in our game, Chris DeMarco. The Masters is in April. How will this injury affect his preparation for that? All these players want reps.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you want reps going into Augusta, but the most important thing is rest, because what he needs right now with an injury is to rest it, because if he tries to play through that injury right now,
what happens?
He's going to do things in his golf swing to make that not hurt. So he's going to have to change something in his golf swing, which is going to force a bad habit, and he's going to have to get over that. So for me, I know I went through that early in 2006, hurt myself skiing, tried to play through it, did some things to compensate for my rib, and actually ended up hurting my shoulder, and I ended up having to have shoulder surgery. So Rory McIlroy, the best thing you can do is take time off, heal, get better, give yourself some rest, and then come back and then be fully ready to go.
You know, you work out, you run, you do push-ups, but where do you draw the line? You know, what's too much working out in your mind? We don't know if this is a workout-related injury, obviously, but we know he works out. Where's the line?
Yeah, these guys work out so hard now, and they're throwing balls all over the place. They're doing things that they shouldn't do. I mean, we saw Rory McIlroy with 400 pounds on his shoulder doing squats. So, I mean, it's just too much, I think. I mean, obviously, flexibility to me is the most important thing. Obviously, stamina. And if you can get some strength, obviously core strength and flexibility, those are the 2 things to me that I think are most important.
Fascinating story. Let's keep the ball rolling. We say in the car and the good doctor.
Well, good news is the good doctor is standing next to me saying he will be just fine for Augusta. He'll definitely have healed by then.
He should be, yeah.
Dr. Ara, thank you for coming in this morning.
Of course, yeah.
We can always rely on you, and these issues flare up, medical issues in the world of golf. A stress fracture is what was stated. How exactly does that occur?
A stress fracture, Cara, is a microscopic fracture. So oftentimes it does not show up on a plain X-ray. It shows up on a CAT scan or a bone scan or an MRI. And in this particular case, the ribs along here, usually in golfers, if you're a right-handed golfer, it occurs on the left side, and it usually occurs between ribs number 4 and 6.
Okay.
Between this.
Which are what, these top ones?
These ones here.
Okay.
Okay. It can occasionally occur on the first rib, but that's more in a different sport, like heavy power lifters will get it. Tennis players, golfers, rowers will get it here. Okay. And it occurs because primarily this muscle here called the serratus anterior. It's a muscle that pulls on the ribs. So if you repetitively pull on this rib, you're going to effectively cause pressure there. And if you overdo it, you can, in theory, break the bone.
So is there a likelihood that some repetitive pulling on that rib could have come from a gym exercise? It could have come from perhaps overhitting balls in the off-season? You just can't be sure.
I think it's the second. He is such a fit guy if you see him, and you know, the person that he works out with, they are extremely diligent in doing the exercises correctly in the right form. I think this probably occurred from hitting a lot of golf balls in the off season.
So now we know he's taken the correct first step, really, which is to withdraw from the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship this week. What is the proper treatment going forward for this kind of an injury?
With any stress fractures, now usually they occur in the feet or on the shins, you want to rest it. Now those bones, you can put it in a cast, you can put it in a sling, and you can actually not move the bone at all. But it's difficult with the rib because it moves every time you breathe, and you obviously can't stop doing that.
Right.
So resting this is particularly important, and then cutting out all the activities that's going to pull on that rib. And if he does that, then it should fully heal up nicely.
In what kind of time frame?
Minimum 4 weeks. Minimum.
Really?
Yeah, and it depends, you know, the report's not clear. If it's one rib or two ribs, then it's about 4 weeks. But you don't want to rush this, because if you come back too quickly, it can recur, and it can become a real nuisance.
You would say 4 weeks till competitive play again, or 4 weeks till practicing again?
4 weeks to get to a point where it's pain-free and practicing again.
And what could go wrong if you come back too soon?
Well, then, you know, it may not heal properly and become a recurrent fracture. It may become a complete fracture. That's a traditional fracture where the bones are apart. And like, you know, as Chris alluded to, your body is going to start protecting this area. And his swing is so fluid and powerful that any glitches in there, and you know, the muscles are not firing correctly, that's going to affect his swing.
So Damon mentioned in the first hour that, you know, Jason Day had to miss really a bit of the end of last year with a back injury. We've now got this rib injury with Rory. How serious is something like this?
It's not serious. It's more of a nuisance.
Okay.
You know, this is not something that's career-threatening or is going to need surgery or anything like that. This will heal up as long as it does the rehab and gives it time. And professional athletes, that's the hardest part. Sitting there and not actually doing anything about this is going to drive him nuts.
It will, I bet. Yeah, and playing through the pain in South Africa this weekend, might have that done him a bit more damage?
Technically, yes, because it is a hairline fracture. But what we do know is on the MRI yesterday, it only showed a hairline fracture, so he did not make it worse.
Okay, yeah, you need to sit down, feet up, Rory McIlroy, and do nothing. That sucks, doesn't it? It does for an athlete. I bet it does.
Yeah.
And you're going to stick around, right, and tell us everything we need to know about sports hernia, surgeries and injuries, Phil Mickelson style.
You're keeping me busy.
We've got it all covered over here, Damon. Any medical issues, you throw them right this way.
No doubt about it, Carl. Right now, we're going to go to the Golf Advisor phone line to Abu Dhabi. Welcoming our own insider, Tim Rosefort. Tim, good morning, and I should say good evening as well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Safe flight, and looking forward to this week, even though obviously the disappointment of Rory not being able to participate.
All right, Tim, well, what's the latest with Rory's injury, and when do you expect him to return?
Well, the only real fresh news I have, Damon, is that he's traveled to Dubai, where he has a place and where he's worked out before, and presumably getting treatment there. I do know the plan still is for him to start in the United States at Riviera, which, according to I just listened to Dr. Sapaya a little bit, that's 4 weeks away, so that's possible or doable. Obviously, the tournament's going to miss him, but this is still a big event. Euro Desert Swing starts this week. Billboards are coming to town. Of course, Rory's up on there, but so is DJ and Ricky and Stenson. And those 3 or 4 major winners. You got Fitzpatrick and Peters, the Ryder Cup hero, Poulter making his return. And it'll just be interesting how it plays out as it relates to Rory. Ricky came in a news conference today and was talking more big picture about Rory really than he was playing in Dubai in a couple of weeks, making the point that while it's disappointing, it's a long season, and obviously you don't want to make the wrong move and then miss out on the first major championship of the year.
Tim, these are young players in their 20s. They're strong. They're fit. Do you think people are making too much of the workout angle?
Well, it's an easy one to go to. I mean, you look at it, numbers 1 and 2 in the world have bad backs. Of course, so does their idol, number 667, Tiger Woods, and that's where it really all started. You go back generations, though, when guys weren't lifting weights and weren't involved in the type of workouts that the guys are in now, and Johnny Miller, for an example, that they had back issues too. As Day said at Kapalua, 90% of the guys out here right now have some sort of back issues, and he made the point he's going to try and play less, max out more. McIlroy, and back to your question, Damon, really more pointedly, he works with Dr. Stephen McGregor. I put quotes around doctor because he is a doctor. He works with top soccer players here in Europe, with the New York Knicks he's worked with. So it's not like he's in the gym working out with somebody on a program that's obviously not dedicated and focused on the science of the body. McGregor and McIlroy know what they're doing, but you think about these guys now, Dean, how they use the ground, create all this torque, swinging clubhead speeds of 116 miles an hour. Whether you worked out or not, that's just physically a tough thing to overcome or to nurse throughout the course of a full season. And thus the byproduct of that is like we saw, Jason Day taking 3 months off. We haven't seen McIlroy in a while till last week. So this is what the guys are going to have to do just to manage themselves with the talent they have and the programs that they're on, quite honestly, and also getting on planes. And I know they're private planes, but traveling around the world, that's not good for the back either.
No doubt. Clearly some layers to this story. Rosie, thanks for hopping on and have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure, Damon.
All right, now we send you back over to Cara.
Thanks, Damon. Let's just remind you what happened last year. Ricky Fowler produced 2 magical moments en route to winning his 2nd European Tour title at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. It propelled him to the then world number 4. Well, for more on his game and what we can learn from watching Ricky Fowler this week, let's say hello again to Travis Fulton. Travis?
All right, thank you, Cara. And yeah, it was just a year ago Ricky Fowler won their Abu Dhabi, the HSBC champions, and a lot of that was due to his improved iron play, and something that we've seen with Ricky Fowler over the years, some of the changes that he made with Butch Harmon, and statistically his iron game really moving in the right direction. I think it's worth noting to go back and look at some of these changes with Ricky, not only because it's a good learning point, but it's also fun to look at Ricky Fowler when he came out of Oklahoma State there, the long hair. Watch this first move here as we take it halfway back. Ricky used to really drag the handle way inside, left wrist would stay cupped, and look at that club head way outside the hand. So the handle would really drag to the inside and the club head would really stay out there like that. Now, we see Ricky still to this day rehearse this first move going like this. A drill that they would used to do, they put a club just inside his toe line like this to allow the club head to swing in and match that shaft on the ground. You can see the difference there between those two clubs. Not so much out here, hands in, club head out, but allowing the club face to rotate in just inside the toe line like that. So an improved position there. Now, as Ricky would go to the top of the swing, he would continue his turn here, and then as he would come back down, the tendency is he would have to reroute it. So the club head way outside going back, and now the sweet spot really having to get behind the hands there coming down. So here, and then from there as he would come down, you would see his hands really tight to his body, club face back there behind that. Now you're starting to see Ricky, because the first move was here, the path of his hands a little bit more out in front of him like this. So his hands kind of working a little bit more out here, club a little bit more in front of the chest, rather than so much maybe stuck in behind him like that. So I think the improvement in the backswing has really improved how the club and the body is responding coming down into transition. Now, from here, as Ricky would come into impact the old way, and this is back in 2010, the tendency, look at the bill of the cap there, he would hang back a little bit, a little too much side bend in the spine to the right, and that would put some pressure, believe it or not, on his lower back and have a tendency to get the face to over-rotate. And Ricky likes to see the golf ball work right to left. So again, old Ricky, hands in, club head out, would come down in here like this, and then as he would come down, he would really kind of hang back here, the tendency kind of pinch there in the lower back. Arm swing would swing out, and the tendency would overcook it right to left. Now, new Ricky, what we see, again, much better position. One, hand path working a little bit more out in front, and now you really see him covering it better now. He's a little bit more on top of it, a little bit more rotational through the strike. His head's a little more out here versus hanging back, and then really turning the corner better. And I think just kind of the overall shape of the swing has really improved his iron play. Over to you, LT.
Thank you so much, Travis. Nice to see how his swing has evolved over the years. Well, still ahead this hour on Morning Drive, we bring back more from the good doctor, but this time it's all about Phil Mickelson and what he's dealing with and what's leading to a, quote, last-minute decision for him involving this week's Career Builder Challenge. Dr. Ara Sapaya rejoins us to give you the details on sports hernias, how this can get in the way of your golf game, and the signs of when to seek professional help from your own doctor if these symptoms start to creep in. Something else that can creep in that you don't want, it can wreak wreak havoc in your game is the dreaded slice. Well, Martin Hall and Blair O'Neill from School of Golf, they're getting ready as we speak in the simulator to show you a tried and true cure to correct it and make it go away. A lot of us need help with this. And if you've dealt with that quite a bit in your game, one thing that could help is getting a proper club fitting with your driver. You don't want to overcompensate, though. We're going to bring back a master club fitter to show you the steps in the process. Randall Doucette will also weigh in on why club length is so important. Also, the dangers of choking down or playing a shaft that is too short. So clearly, we got much more to get to in Studio AP and Studio A today on a Tuesday. But for now, we turn it on over to Matt Janella with a little background on something you're going to see this week.
That's right, LT, and good morning to you. Coming up next, we're talking stadium golf, the best stadium golf courses, and the future of the fan-friendly concept. That and a lot more right here on Morning Drive.